Hi, I'm Lorian. This is Knitting Monologues. It is Sunday, January the 26th, the last Sunday of the month. I feel like this month has gone by super quickly, which maybe is unusual. Maybe it's February that's the slow one. We shall see. You can find me here, as you have, on YouTube and Instagram and Ravelry, and now on Blue Sky. So come join me there too as Yarn Love Turtle. And if you friend me on any of those or follow, I will follow you back. If your account on Instagram is public or if you're accepting friends, whatever that platform allows us to do. I'm excited to learn about Blue Sky. It's new for me. I see a lot of fibery friends and providers and farmers and dyers all joining over there. And so my background years ago was in marketing and media, and so I'm always kind of interested in new media and what it brings, but I also know it can take a lot of time, so I'm not always the best at keeping up with everything. I want to tell you what I'm wearing. This is Birkin. It is a sweater pattern by Caitlin Hunter. I knit it when it was only available through Lina magazine. That's where it was first published. I think the pattern has undergone some design changes since then, but I'm super happy with it. It was I used fingering weight yarn for the most part. This heathered pink, I'm gonna stand up so you can see. This heathered pink color is by Tidal yarns, who is Patricia, and this cream color is by Green Mountain Spinnery. It's the Alpaca Elegance, which I think maybe tends more towards the DK. It's designed to have multiple colors. I think I had seen someone at a fibery event who had done it in 2 colors, and I just fell in love. It's one of my go-tos. I will say this, I think all of Patricia's yarn, so the pink I think is naturally dyed, and it has run onto some of the things I've worn underneath it, so today I'm not wearing any blouse underneath it. And I do remembering it taking me a while to knit, just because it's a fingering weight sweater. But I love reaching for it. I find it super comfortable, fun to wear, and a good pattern that probably only got better when it was re-released. It was one of the earlier designs that I had heard of that Caitlin Hunter had done. So I have also gone back to I've picked up this particular motif, these leaves, and used that in another sweater that I don't know, designed. I took the stitch counts from a recipe and I added this motif, this colorwork motif, going in both directions actually in the yoke. So that's what I'm wearing. Patricia is I'm pretty sure she has her own sheep, and she may even get I'm not sure where she gets her wool milled. It's definitely a mill. She's in Connecticut like me. And it could be a Battenberg, could be a Green Mountain. She might give some to both, but I've seen her now for years at different events, and she's just lovely. Okay, I have no finishes this week to show you. I'm closing in on a couple, but nothing is finished, so that's easy to move on from. I have been working quite a lot on 2 sweaters for me. This was a brand new cast on. I think at my last episode I only had a swatch. Now I have a front and a back. This is the Hana sweater, or just Hana, by Junko Okamoto. So it needs to be blocked, but I wanted to come on and show it to you before it gets blocked. So I just finished this last night. This is I guess it's called a modular knit. So it's cables, obviously, here, and it's going to grow a lot with blocking. It will be in a rectangle shape. Let's see, I think you knit this section first, then this section, because you can kind of see, you knit this, I think you knit this way, I knit this way, and I knit this, then this was the last piece I just finished, this way, going this way. And it's going to be, because of how it's designed, it's a very boxy fit. So I have a front and a back that are actually identical here. I think you don't attach them identically, but according to the pattern, but you could. So the placement, the orientation can change. I have a little stitch marker on here because I missed a ply in one stitch. I didn't realize it till well above, and it's in the middle of a cable. So I have one ply. I will probably duplicate stitch over that one stitch just to make sure that it holds, but after blocking. So there are a couple of stitch motifs. As you can see, this is it. I mean, you could add a collar if you want, but you're basically going to seam the shoulders and seam the sides, and then the sleeves get set in and seamed as well. So I have the sleeves cast on. I've just started those, but this is a worsted weight yarn. It's going to take a bit to block and dry, and depending on how it blocks out will determine the sleeve length, because this is a drop shoulder. It's a boat neck kind of and a drop shoulder. The shoulder's going to come down the sleeve. So I wanted to see how it blocks out entirely before I determine the sleeve length, my finished sleeve length. I don't love sleeves that are too long. I don't like them too short, and I don't like them too long. These look short right here. But I do end up pushing these ones up. I definitely don't like them too long, even though that can feel cozy, they get in the way. It's hard for me to cook or do other things. So I want to kind of play with the sleeve length. Let's see, I knit the size 2. It calls for a ton of positive ease, like super oversized. I didn't think I needed quite as much, so I probably could have knit a size 3, but I also felt like this was going to be plenty of ease for me in the size 2. I also looked at what other people did in their projects. I may knit this, my plan is to knit the sleeves in a size 1 because it's very similar between the 1 and the 2. I don't think I'm going to need them as long. In fact, the measurements come out to longer sleeves than a drop shoulder usually means you're knitting a shorter sleeve. You're usually attached, this is not a drop shoulder, this is a circular yoke, but it does run a little bit longer than I typically, my armpit's up here, I have a bit of fabric. A drop shoulder may come as low here, and then you just add the sleeve. So the sleeves in the spec, in the diagram, and the measurements are already longer than I would wear for a sleeve that started higher up on a sweater for me. So I think they call for about 20 inches, which I won't need that much. So I know I'm going to knit them shorter than the pattern calls for the size 2, and maybe even for the size 1 also. So this is it. I just think these cables are gorgeous. Here we go. Very fun. I didn't realize that the front and the back were the same instructions. And so I knit one, how much did I don't know how far. I think I knit one of them, the first square, and then I knit the second one, and then I started knitting them two at a time in tandem, because then my tension would be fairly consistent, and I knew it's kind of like knitting for me 2 at a time socks. Like I was just happy to have them both done. I'm also knitting the sleeves 2 at a time in tandem. So these will go and get blocked. The yarn I'm using is yarn that I bought in a D-stash. I have a video, I think it's episode 2, it could be 2 or 3, pretty early on, where I talk about some sources for D-stash, find great D-stash yarn. This yarn is by Magpie Fibers, and it's the Nest worsted base, which is 210 yards. It's non-superwash Corriedale, and This color is called Twilight Rose. So as you can see, I mean, I'm having a purple moment. This is kind of pink, but you'll see some of I'm having a purple, pink, rose color phase, I guess, if you will. It won't last long, but it's here now. And it just, I originally thought I would knit this in a natural like cream color because the original design is in that, and I think it shows off the cables beautifully, and my friend Shannon has knit this in a beautiful yarn, and that was sort of she inspired me to knit one of these, and I just thought, you know what, I had found this yarn on D-Stash, and coincidentally, it was exactly the yardage for the size 2. So I've also seen people do these in more of a patchwork look. So maybe they've done one of the blocks in another color. And it is just so fun. I mean, go look at the projects. You might say this isn't something I would never wear, and I might have said that. I also think Junko Okamoto is a brilliant, brilliant designer. And that is really one of my goals this year, is to knit from designers I haven't knit from. There'll be plenty from those I have as well. But knit from those who also maybe design from a different perspective. Take me outside of the comfort zone of the colorwork yoke, top down, crop, which I don't crop quite as short. I never quite like the same drop. A drop needs to be at least 13 or 14 inches for me to be happy with it. This one's quite a bit longer. And to kind of step out of the comfort zone, I guess, with my knits. So, so this one's going to get soaked and blocked. I did get a little nervous about the yardage because I was spot on for the size 2 with the recommended yardage. And the other brilliant thing that Junko has done is the pattern has you do gauge in stockinette. I love that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I always would love to do my gauge swatch in stockinette. Sometimes you have to do it in the cable motif. I totally understand that. But each of these motifs has a different gauge. And Junko gives you what the gauge is for each of them. Now, you don't have to swatch them. It's just provided for you. One of the other interesting things, and what happens in doing so is, if I started with this square and then I picked up for this square, I pick up a certain number of stitches. I do kind of, it's basically a reverse stockinette border section here before these cables get started. So in between each section, you've got this reverse stockinette, and then you make adjustments to the stitch count based on the gauge of that section. I hope that makes sense. If not, don't worry about it. Just follow the directions. It works. I didn't do math or anything like that, but I was wondering, why do we have to change? Like, why are we adding stitches each time? And I realized it's because cables will pull the work in. They will change the gauge. And because each section has cables in a different way, I just think it's brilliant. It's brilliant, but just follow the directions. No need to worry about it if I'm getting too technical on you. So that's Hana. My next work in progress is a cardigan. And I don't have a ton of cardigans on my knit list. I call it my knit list, but truth be told, it's the same as like a make 9, make 12, make 15. It's probably about 15 items for the year. And it does help me stay on course with things that I need in my wardrobe, this goal of knitting designers that I don't really know, using up matching yarn to stash, and just not going too far off plan because I saw something pretty, but I already have 12 natural cream colored sweaters in my wardrobe that I love. So I had fallen in love with this yarn. I knit a sweater earlier in the fall or late summer. This is Noro Ito. I believe this is colorway 60. Let's see. Yep, color 60. Noro yarns. and it's Ito. It's somewhere between a worsted and an Aran. I've seen it listed both ways. It comes in a 200-gram ball, and it's 427, maybe it's 400 meters, so it's about 427 yards. And these fabulous colors. And I knew I wanted to turn it into a cardigan, and basically from there went pattern searching and found the Journey cardigan by Zielinski, who is North Bay Fibers and Knitterella. And I think I've knit a hat by her design before, but I have never knit a sweater from her. So it is a raglan construction, collar down. You add a button band. I can only show it to you folded in half, and I'll show you why in a minute. I have another ball that's still attached to the body. I'm holding on to this yarn because if I have the yardage to lengthen it, I'm going to. So I'm just sort of keeping that inside for now. I did do, you can see it right there, every 10th row, I've done a purl instead of a knit on the right side. So it gives it a little bit of texture. It gets a little lost within the color changing, but it's subtle and you can see it for sure. Let's see. So it's a cardigan, knit flat back and forth, raglan dimensions, raglan shaping. And my sleeves are right here in one tube. I did a video, and it is posted here as well, a tutorial video on how to do this. I first saw this done. The main reason to do this is when you knit the body, when you've got a striping, a yarn that makes stripes, you knit the body, you've got a certain number of stitches. You knit your sleeves, you've usually got a lot less stitches. So the idea is to knit both sleeves together, increase the number of stitches to spread your stripe, your color bands around, and steek them. I did a video, I've posted it here if you're interested. I did not make this up, I do not get credit, but Heidi Kernmeyer put up a video this summer showing how to do this. Her video had no voiceover, it was all visual, and of course for me I needed to watch it about 15 times to quite figure it out, but that's just me. If you're a visual person, you may be one and done. But I did do it, and then I thought, wow, I want to document this, and then the next time I do it, I'll see if I can do a better tutorial. So I'm working on the sleeves. I have a ways to go still with the sleeves. Maybe I'm about halfway done. The pattern gives you the option to do a straight or a tapered sleeve. I'm doing like barely tapered. I will need to reinforce, so my steek panels sit between these blue stitch markers here. They're a panel of 5 stitches, and I will need to reinforce them. I'm going to try to bribe my friend who has a sewing machine to do that for me, and then cut down the middle and seam them together. It worked the last time I did it beautifully, and I just think it's a great way to knit your sleeves. I did get some great comments to the video, and people told me they use this technique for color work because it's just easier to knit both sleeves 2 at a time, and you have 2 steeks, and you can certainly do that for color work. You could do this technique for any sleeves. You can do your sleeves 2 at a time magic loop the way you knit 2 at a time magic loop socks, and they're each their own tube, and you're working off of 2 balls of yarn then. The purpose of this really is to try to get your stripes of your body and your stripes of your sleeve closer in thickness and height. So I think it's around 180 to 190 body stitches for my size. I have closer to 100 and I think maybe 20. So there's still a large difference in the number of stitches, but think about it if it were 60. That would be a third. It's really, it does make a difference. So I'm having fun with this. I think I might have enough yarn to do, so I have to finish the sleeves. I will probably do the cuffs. I have to decide if I will knit. The cuffs have ribbing on them. I might just pause, do the steek cut it and then pick up and knit the cuffs in the round. And I might do them in a solid color. I have a beautiful dark brown, and I could knit the button band, the body. I don't know if I have enough to do all of that, but I think I could knit the button band, the body hem, and the waist ribbing all in that dark brown. I'm gonna see, because I don't really need to not use this up. So we'll see how far this goes, how far the piece that's sitting inside goes. I think I have about 30 grams there. And I would like to make the body a little bit longer than it is. But it's a great basic cardigan. Again, worsted or Aran weight, I can't remember which it says it's designed for, but whatever gauge you get, if you get gauge, that's fine. So that's the Journey cardigan. Okay. Last time I showed you what my next, a swatch for my next cast on, and I have blocked those swatches. I'm going to show this to you here. Oh, let's see. It's hard to pick up all of the nuances. There we go. And I knit 2 swatches. This is much more than I ever do. But this is going to be a sweater for my husband. It's the Hanstholm sweater by PetiteKnit. Honestly, I think for a lot of people, my husband included, we've kind of found, we're narrowing down and finding what his perfect fit sweater is. And for him, I think he would take a dozen sweaters in the same pattern if it's the fit he loves. Truth be told, the one that fits best right now is a cabled knit in pieces pullover, and that's what I'm using for the measurements. But that's not a recipe that I would like, that I'm going to make all of his sweaters in. He has 2 cabled sweaters, and that's good. This yarn has too much going on to really show off cables, in my opinion. But he fell in love with this color. It matches his car. He absolutely loves it. So I knit a swatch and a 6. I knit a swatch and a 5 needle. The pattern calls for, that is a design by PetiteKnit. I don't think I have completed one of her sweaters. I have one that's been on the needles for a long time. A beautiful yarn. It's just kind of stalled. It's been 2 years. I don't even talk about it, but I know it's there, and I know I need to pick it up because I'm just at the body. It's just a lot of circular knitting on a very, very small needle. So this is really the first time I'm knitting one of her sweater patterns, hopefully to completion. This yarn we found at Fiber Festival of New England. It is by Dying Wishes Yarn Co. And it is her Spectral Superwash DK, 246 yards for 100 grams, 100% fine superwash merino wool. So the one thing for me is I do very little knitting right now in superwash. I mean, accessories fine, but sweaters for the most part, I don't really buy superwash yarn if I can help it. I just have moved in the farm yarn direction more so, but sometimes you get a color, you get something, you gotta have it. And that was the case with this, and I want to make something he's going to love. So we've got our swatches, we have the yarn. We had to order, it was a special order, which we needed to order in quantities of 4. Based on his measurements, we needed 5 or 6 skeins, so I have 8. And because it's hand dyed, I definitely have to helically knit. There are probably a lot of varieties. We literally opened all 8 skeins, laid them out, kind of tried to pick which ones we thought might work the best together. Some have very bright spots, some have very dark spots, and the amount of those are varied. So again, helical is going to be important. And so I have kind of a pile of darker ones. I took one out of the mix entirely. I have to have a pile of darker ones, I have a pile of lighter ones, and I'm hoping to just kind of match 1 and 1 each time I'm knitting. What else? He calls gauge weave. He likes a tight weave instead of a fine gauge, which is why even though I could knit this on 6s, I'll probably knit it on 5s because I think he'll like that better. He also likes So I took the sweater that fits him the best of the 4 or 5 that he has, even though the construction is different, and I took all of the measurements. I took the back of the neck to the waist, I took the sleeve, I took the yoke on the angle, I took the body. So I have his preferred measurements. The good thing about this one, it's a top down. Great. I also took, he has a preferred collar. He likes a snug fitting collar. He's a big head. So this pattern with a folded ribbed collar, and I am not gonna do that. I'm just gonna start afterwards, and I will do that part after, because if I start with it, I would rather, it's harder, it's not impossible, but it's harder to pick it out than to knit it afterwards and then snug it up, get the right fit that he wants and the right length. So very easy to do. So I am gonna be casting this on today and getting going. I know I'll be using 5s. I know which size I've chosen. I just have to find the second skein of yarn that I'm gonna work in with and helically knit the garment with. Perfect. So that's the Hanstholm. That's getting on the needles. Okay. I did go to Vogue Knitting Live in New York City. Let's see. And I have been going to Vogue for several years, at least 10 years. I've taken some amazing classes and learned so much. I've gone to lectures where I've just been inspired or just interested to hear some of the folks, what they're there to talk about. I have been there and seen its heyday in the marketplace. I have been there. I used to go at least on Saturdays, take a class, visit the marketplace. Then I started going Friday nights. I've done some overnights. It's not far. It's about an hour away from me. Very easy walk from the train station in Manhattan. I think it's a great event. It's changed a lot though since 2019 or 2020. I think it was in 2020 because of the pandemic. And costs have become very high for vendors to vend at the marketplace. My friends were talking about with one of the vendors, they are charged per box that they ship. They are charged for Wi-Fi. There are a lot of fees. It is a pricey event. And I think that has probably contributed not only to the number of vendors, but the number of repeat vendors. Certainly those that are in the area, it's easier for them to move their inventory in and out. And I want to say, if you'd never been before the pandemic, you would never know. There's still plenty of yarn, an amazing button vendor, lots of yarn adjacent, knitting adjacent project bag makers and notions and software vendors. There is a lot still there. But if you went before, you probably noticed it's smaller. This year, I was very excited. There were quite a few more small farms and farm yarns, many that I've used before or seen before at fiber festivals or sheep and wool festivals. And so it was a really interesting and cool mix of vendors. I really only went for the marketplace this year. I went to the marketplace for a couple of hours, met up with a bunch of friends. We went to dinner afterwards, which was fantastic and just a lot of fun. It's always fun for me when one of my friends from whatever, a local friend meets an online friend, or whatever, to just bring people together, because I know they're going to get along. They're knitters, right? They all have that in common. So it was really it was neat. And I traveled with some of my local friends and saw some of my friends who were local-ish and not local-ish at this dinner, and a brand new friend to me also. So that was really very special and a beautiful way to cap off the evening. I also find though that when I have these time limits, I really don't have a chance to dawdle in the marketplaces. Sometimes I need to see everything, then I need to go back. I always go in with a plan so that I don't buy things I don't need. And I went in with a plan. I had contacted a vendor and I said, I don't see that you're on the list. And they said, no, we're going. And I said, okay, great, I'll see you there. And then just before the event, I said, you know, I still don't see your logo. Are you still going? They said, oh, absolutely. Thank you for letting us know. Their logo was put up. And I said, by the way, are you bringing this yarn? I had seen it at Fiber Festival of New England, which is held in Massachusetts in November. And I wasn't really ready to buy it, but are you bringing it? They said no. They said, but how much do you need? Because we can. And that is just awesome. So I'm going to start with that. But the truth is, I was there Friday and they were bringing it Saturday. So I walked out almost empty-handed. What I did buy, I'm going to show you this instead, is one of the special things about Vogue are the booths that are usually set up kind of outside of the marketplace. They're artists, they're doing really interesting things with fiber or fibery things. It could be sculpture, it could be design, it could be yarn bombing type, which is I think a form of sculpture. Anyway, there was an artist who had paintings, and Shannon and I ended up walking around together, and we stopped practically on our way out and started talking to Carol MacDonald. She's from Vermont, and she had a bunch of prints that she had made, and she had note cards. I love a handwritten note card. It's something I took. I worked a few years ago. I worked at a small independent not-for-profit Montessori school, and I was in fundraising, and my boss had done my job before, and she was really big into handwritten notes, and I kind of discovered my appreciation even further in working for her. So whenever I go to something and see note cards that I think are beautiful, I buy them. So this was the front. This was one. And what Carol said, I don't know about all of these, but certainly some of them, what she does is she knits or crochets in wire and then uses that to print. So here's another. So it was a set of 5. I mean, this is just kind of funny, right? So it was a set of 5 cards, and I just thought that was super cool. So I bought those from Carol, and that's what I left Vogue with. It was a little deflated. There were beautiful things, and I had gone to a few booths several times, and because when that color wasn't there, when the yarn wasn't there, and I guess I just thought they were bringing it that night. I looked back in our exchange and realized I didn't specify when I was going to be there. So I said, okay, some friends were going to be there Saturday, and maybe I'd figure out how to get it. They said they could ship it to me. I was pretty sure it was going to work, but nevertheless, I left. But for the cards, not a single, nothing, no yarn, and that's really unusual. We did visit the Wing and a Prayer farm booth 3 times. They had these beautiful project bags, and I had seen them online, and I just said, no, I really don't need one. And I was just so focused on the yarn that I didn't get one. Of course, I had buyer's remorse. I have subsequently ordered one online for the brief moments that they were even available online. Anyway, my local friends went back. I gave them the yarn I was trying to match or look at. And this is the yarn that I had wanted, and they ended up bringing back for me. So it is Louise Robert collection for Biscotte yarns. And I plan to use it with this. Here we go. I have another skate ball too here. The colors are a little different. So this is a DK weight, 90% merino. It's in French. Oh, it is superwash. I know. I just said I'm not used to it. I needed to have this color. It is 90 merino, 10% silk. 284 yards for the 100 grams. It is very soft. I have 5 skeins of it. This is going to become Springfling, which is a pattern by, so hold on, I wrote it down because she changed her business name. Saskie and Co., formerly the Petite Knitter. It's a very cute sweater, uses color work in the top, has a floral motif, and then will be mostly this color. I don't think that I can wear a ton of powdery blues. I don't think this is powdery. This is teal, and I think it's a good one for me. I think it's gonna work in helping pick up and tone down some of what's going on in these skeins. They are the same color, but they're different. These are from Yarn Hero. This is the Merge Sport. They're seconds. I have to decide how much of the orange. There's a lot of orange in this one. I'm gonna keep. That will be for another day when that project is actually queued up to knit. But I'm very happy that, I'm delighted. It was lovely of them to bring it. I had a nice conversation with them. I really tried to find yarn that would work, but I just had this on my mind since November, so I had to get it. Okay, that was Vogue. Would I do anything different? Probably not. I'm glad I went Friday night. I'm glad I got to see my friends. Dinner was fun. The vendors, you know, for what I needed, I didn't need anything else. I want to show you 2 other things though. The first is some yarn that I ordered in December. I believe it was December. Again, I had seen this yarn at Fiber Festival of New England. They did not have a sweater's quantity of yarn, and I cannot love this color more. This is a perfect color for me. I am a little nervous it's going to render as black. It is not black. Let me start with, the yarn is from Seven Sisters Arts. They are out of Maine. And it's color and form inspired by nature is their tagline. Karen is the designer. She was wearing a sweater in this color, and she had it on a couple of bases. I could not do, it's gonna look black. Can you see that? It is a dark olive. It is like a green, black, gray, a green gray almost. It's called Rock Olive, and I was able to buy these. She was having a December sale, and I wrote to her. I said, "Do you have?" I don't remember if she had this color up. The base is Zodiac, so this is also a very luxury base. It's a worsted base. What does it say? 80% superwash, so here we go, another superwash. 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, so it's an 80-10-10 worsted. I'm going to turn this into a Solare, which is a pattern by Locateli. I have definitely knit my share of Hohi patterns. Several of my cardigans are Hohi patterns, but I think Hohi has a ton of variety in Hohi's designs. I don't know if I'll get to it this winter or next fall, but this just showed up in the mail. It took a little bit of a detour with some of the storm weather we've been having. It is spectacular, this color. I cannot wait to work with this. So thank you, Karen. Next, and maybe last, is I won a giveaway. There used to be a time where I entered a lot of giveaways and I won a lot of giveaways. I don't enter as many anymore. But I had heard and maybe seen at some fairs, I'm not totally sure, Subito Farms. That is their card. How precious is that? They are in Carlisle, Massachusetts, and patterns, hand-dyed, breed-specific yarn and embroidery kits. And they were doing an Instagram giveaway, and I was one of the 5 winners who won this. There were different colors. I got what I got. This is their Pleiades yarn. They call it Pleiades yarn set. I was trying to look up Pleiades thinking it made, or made a Pleiades hat. That's not right because those patterns didn't work. Then there's the name Alcyone, and there's a gorgeous design that this goes with. And so I plan to knit that. I added it right to my queue. These are, let me see what it says, 45 yards of each color and 75 of the gray yarn made from 100% Cormo wool, sheared, washed, and spun in Montana and dyed in Massachusetts, 300 yards total. I mean, it is so soft. I'm gonna guess it's a fingering weight. I think it is because the pattern is. So it's a beautiful color work hat. And I'm going to make this. I felt so lucky to win this. Because like I said, I don't enter things that often anymore. I don't need to add non-superwash sock or superwash sock yarn to my stash. It's overwhelming to go look in the bins that I have. But this was something else. So I'm excited and thank you for the giveaway. Let's see. I think I'm just peeking at my notes. That's everything. That's everything I wanted to touch base on today. Two other things, actually. I wanted to show you, because I've showed before, I am wearing earrings from Ayala Bar. They don't show up super great in my hair because when my hair is down because it's dark. I've showed some earrings from Ayala Bar before. They're pretty mass-produced now. When I first started following or seeing them, they might have been as well, but it's an Israeli designer and uses really interesting textures and fabrics even in some of their jewelry designs. It's earrings. I don't know if they do bracelets. Definitely earrings, necklaces, and all kinds of styles. There are tons out there. And maybe that's a wrap for today. I wanted to ask about color, but I think I'm good. I think I better get working on Todd's sweater. Yeah, that's gonna be a wrap. It was good to catch up with you. Oh, I need to give one more shout out from Vogue. Jeannie, I think it was, who I met up with, not Jeannie, a Little Angel Knits, and who said, oh, if you're going to be at Vogue, would love to touch base. She was wearing the most spectacular pressed flowers pullover. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And I think it was her first Vogue, and so it was taking a lot of classes. The classes are the way to go. I mean, when it opens, definitely look at the designers. I've taken classes from Melissa Liepman, lecture from Isolde Teague, lecture from Sandy Peters, class/lecture with Deb Newton, game-changing class with Tin Can Knits, both of them together. Just some really, really good stuff over the years. So next time it comes around, and I think they do online ones as well, definitely worth checking them out. That's gonna be a wrap for today, and I will catch up with you in a couple of weeks. It will have been the 1 year. We will have surpassed 1 year since I started putting videos onto this channel. Kind of hard to believe, and hopefully more to come. Take care.